Welcome back. It is 6:23 as our families transition back into another school year. Our teenagers are more connected on more devices than ever before. It's why security experts say that parents need to get familiar with smartphone apps and what exactly they're used for. So our Patrick Nelson is here to help us out this morning. Patrick.
Good morning, Bree. If you're like me, you had no idea that there was a calculator app that you open it up. You might think it's a calculator. It's actually a secret messaging app. So from those hidden messaging apps to video streaming, gaming, photo sharing, and even dating apps, there are apps available to download that can do it all. While these apps themselves in many cases might be harmless, information shared in these spaces and how people use them to interact with our loved ones can create safety issues that the experts say our families should be talking about.
I tell my kids, especially I have a daughter that just went off to college just this week. So it's one of those things where as she was going through the process of applying for colleges and stuff, you have to be careful what you put out there in social media.
Daniel Liu now has a teen in college and a teen in high school. Both of them have smartphones with a series of apps, and he's had to express his concerns about how they're used.
The key thing is, if you don't communicate with your kids, somebody else will, right? Because we don't live in a bubble.
Recently, law enforcement agencies across the country have put out alerts for parents to get familiar with more than a dozen smartphone apps where teens can interact with strangers, share photos and video, experience cyberbullying, and give up their exact locations. Daniel says as a parent, this warning is helpful.
And when your kids are talking on those things, it's not just somebody that's locally. It could be anywhere in the world. You just don't know who they're talking to. I think it's super useful to have parents be knowledgeable about it and actually do the research into it.
I took this list of apps to school safety expert Susan Payne, who says she's seen instances where teens get into trouble on these apps.
It does happen that they have gone so far as getting someone to exchange photos, maybe sexually explicit photos, that suddenly they're demanding financial payment in order not to contact all their friends, and they'll do some really crazy things like screenshot their followers on Instagram and say, I know who your followers are, I'm going to send this out to them. And we really have to worry about the impact it has on our children.
Daniel says with these kinds of dangers, ultimately, he's had to take charge to protect his kids.
It's one of those things where it's like, hey, I will check your phone, don't make me do it. I have the capability of doing it. I want to trust you on it.
And I know with teenagers, I have lots of nieces and nephews who are like, I just want to get one of those smartphones and endless internet. These can be really tough conversations to have with the kids. So do you have any advice on that?
Well, maybe give this a try. These are some ideas from Susan Payne, who you heard from in the story, to keep your conversation focused and impactful. First, she says to take inventory of the apps on the child's device, see what needs to be there and what doesn't. Also, try to talk with your kids about how to recognize a threat and imposters with fake profiles. There are a lot of those out there. Next, encourage reporting dangers and speaking up if they see something or experience a problem in an app. There's always a way out and there's help. Lastly, help them to identify 5 trusted adults that they could contact if they happen to experience one of these crises online. And we also have a web story up right now if people want to learn more about these apps that parents should know about. Full descriptions, everything you need right there on our website, KOAA.com.